the situation in Canada, what's been happening here. In Montreal, 3 hours after protesters began marching through the city's downtown yesterday, police declared the gathering illegal. That's because were thrown at officers, and police responded with pepper spray and tear gas. Some demonstrators smashed windows and set fires. There was also a demonstration in Vancouver. Thousands rallied outside the city's art gallery. Standing by this morning is Anna. She took part in the protest. Good morning, Anna. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Very, very good. What prompted you to take part in this protest?
Well, as many of the viewers are, they're Filipino like me. Most of you can probably relate to how our community has normalized colorism, whether we realize it or not. So at some point, somebody's probably told you, stay inside in the shade or you'll get dark, or maybe you've been praised for being light-skinned. So these thoughts are learned behaviors that we've actually adopted from our colonizers, a behavior that we had to learn in order to survive, in order to be seen as having some kind of worth to people who never really cared about us. This distaste for dark skin spilled over to the way of how our community has seen Black people, how we've gone along with the racism that our colonizers have taught us, and it's been passed down to us through generations, but not anymore, as we've seen through all these protests. I decided to stand with the Black community in solidarity in order to help negate these toxic behaviors and the toxic attitudes that we've learned from our colonizers and that have been passed down to us through generational trauma.
Anna, can you tell us about yesterday's protest? What was happening there?
Yeah, so the protest yesterday in Vancouver was actually organized by a man named Jacob Colander Prasad, who also had himself experiences last year with the police. So he decided that as people and as citizens of the world, we should also stand up with the Black community in the States and in Canada who go through this racism on a daily basis.
I was just going to say, what sort of activity was going on there? We've heard about the violent protests in the United States. Was this different?
Yeah, it was really different. There was about 3,500 people there. It was a peaceful protest. There was no violence happening there at all. We had speakers of different races, mostly speakers from the Black community, but speakers from the Indigenous community as well.
Was there much police presence?
There was a police presence. The organizer of the protest actually made sure to stay in communication with the police. The street around the Vancouver Art Gallery was actually closed down in order to give space for the protesters to be there. It was very cordial with the police.
Tell us about the crowd. Were they noisy? Were they loud? Were they disruptive? Just paint a picture for us as to how things were.
So the crowd was mostly very respectful of all the speakers. We chanted along together at times, but then we also held moments of silence in order to really ruminate and to remember and to respect all those who have died due to police brutality.
This sounds quite a bit different from what has been happening in the United States and what we told you about earlier in Montreal. At any time you were there, did you feel unsafe at any time?
So the only safety issue that I really had was one that I thought about a lot before deciding to participate, which is the current pandemic that was happening. However, the organizers made it really clear that if you were sick, you shouldn't come out and help us. Everybody was asked to wear face masks. Everybody was asked to stay 6 feet apart from each other. All of these things were generally respected. There were a lot of volunteers who were handing out masks to people who decided to come without one. So really, the coronavirus was the only thing that was, making us feel a little bit unsafe, but we followed the protocols. So otherwise, we didn't fear anybody else who was there.
And we'll actually have some advice in a few minutes from the Chief Public Health Officer of Canada on how to conduct yourself safely in a protest. I want to thank you for your time this morning, Anna. Is there quickly anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, you know, we need to hold each other accountable. I think this is what all these protests are about. Um, as non-Black people of color, we have to stand up with those who are affected by systematic oppression in the ways that we can never fully comprehend. And this doesn't have to be through protest. I understand that there's a pandemic and that not everybody can go out and protest. I understand that not everybody has the disposable income to be able to donate to all the different organizations. But standing with the Black community can also be seen in ways where we call out our elders when maybe they say something that is distasteful towards people with darker colored skin. It can be in ways where we call out our friends or family members who use words that aren't meant for us to use. By being a little bit more aware about the effect of the things that we say and the things that we do, we can all come together to be better people for everybody in the world.
That's good advice, and thanks for the insight, Anna. You have